Welcome. You're here with our platform Now in Session Live. I'm very pleased to be able to present this interview, which is really a first for this platform, which I started a couple of years ago, building toward being able to provide another element for local performers that's hard to come by because it's typically very expensive, and performers, particularly now with the pandemic and everything that's come across and prevented them from getting a livelihood out of their craft, it's become even more important to try to support each other in the arts. And my guest today, very special guest today, Jerry Falzone, has been involved in the Rochester music scene for many years. I'll let him describe that when he gets a chance to speak here to tell you a little bit about him. But it's really, we're kind of at a crucial point, I think, for the arts in general everywhere. And more than ever, we all need to kind of step up if we can and promote the arts. There's a lot of forces working against it. That being said, the purpose of this interview is to talk a bit about a recent production that Jerry put together. It took place at the Fort Hill Performing Arts Center in Canandaigua. And it was quite a labor of love. The actual concert took place on November 5th of 21. I was able to videotape that performance and will be streaming it live on February 24th. That's a Thursday at 7 p.m. February 24th at 7 p.m. So write that down because you're going to want to see this concert. It was really quite amazing. So at this point, what I'd like to do is introduce you to Jerry and let Jerry kind of just give you a little background about his history with Rochester. It's pretty deep, and I'd like to hear about it as well. So without any further ado, Jerry Falzone.
I don't know if it's deep, but it's been long for sure. I started playing professionally while I was in high school. Easy gigs, here and there, just school gigs and that sort of thing. I went to college. I played in college, and I was also part of their concert committee. And I, really got kind of an idea of what the inner workings of that sort of thing was supposed to be like. And when I got out of college, I just said, you know what, I want to do music for my life. And I ended up being on the road for about 8.5, 9 years, playing all over, everywhere from starting in Windsor, Ontario, going down to Alabama, out through Florida, up through New England, up to Montreal, and everything, within.
Give us a time frame. What years were we talking?
I think we started that around 78 and went till just about 80, probably 87.
Yeah, I saw a couple of pictures I think you posted.
Yeah, look a little bit different. Look a little bit different.
Those were good times, though.
No. Well, they were great times. And when I realized that we're going to come off the road, I was thinking, these are the things I'm going to miss about it. Seeing all these different places, being an attraction in a brand new town, meeting new people, all the stuff that goes around playing. And when I actually got off the road, I realized that the only thing that I did miss was playing. That was it. I missed the music. All the rest of it was like, it didn't mean that much. So I just thought, well, I'm living here. I might as well just keep on playing. So, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for a while. I mean, the band that I was in was called Pearl. We had a top album pick in Billboard. We were an original band, but I thought, well, let's, just go out there and make a couple of bucks and just play anything. And I did that for a little while, and then I started working with other people that were into songwriting. And about 20 years ago, I just said, that's it. That's all I want to do. And so in that period of time, a lot of things have happened for me musically. I got elected to the board of directors for the Rochester Music Hall of Fame. I've put on a lot of different singer-songwriter series in different venues around town. So I've been really busy with that, and it's been a lot of fun.
The owners of the venues, what they're trying to accomplish, how they're trying to support the arts, how you know, the entire motivation behind trying to provide, it's more than entertainment. It's just, you know, it fulfills a deep need for people to be able to hear music live.
Abilene is a great venue. It's a smaller, but they put in phenomenal music. Love and Cup is a great place. It's a little bit larger, and it's a lot of fun to play there. Record Archive is one of my favorite places I've ever played in my life, and I can't even tell you why, but there's just something in the vibe in that room.
Let's take just a minute to tip a hat to Dick Storms, because he's been in Rochester doing things so creative. I'm weird furniture back in the day. He's always been a little bit ahead of the curve in so many ways.
Yes, and I was told that he has a collection of over 2,000 lawn sprinklers.
That wouldn't surprise me.
He did confirm it with me once, but you know, he's great, no doubt about it. But Elena is the one who does a lot of the entertainment work over there,
okay,
bringing in the bands, and she's just been great. Iron Smoke is another. It's just a really phenomenal venue.
Yeah, I have to also include, I don't know if you included it or not, the Penthouse.
Well, they're closed.
They closed?
They closed down, yes. I loved playing at the Penthouse. That was a really great place. But yeah, they closed down. And that, you know, that's a great, you know, segue into something here, because a lot of places are closing down. It just, you know, the pandemic has really affected the arts in so many different ways. The Brittany who ran the place, she just decided to go back down to Charleston, where she was from, and that was, you know, that was the end of the Penthouse.
Oh, that's sad.
I love that place. Yeah. It was great. Yeah, there's a lot of really great places around. You know, the Little Theater's another one. I mean, it really goes on and on and on. And for as much as I've been involved in music in this area, there's an awful lot of clubs that I don't know anything about. You know, I see things that are in Randy Fluker's gig list every week, and I'm going, I don't even know where this place is, or, you know, who these bands are. So we've got a really, really deep music scene here. There's no question about it.
Well, that brings to mind also one of Rochester's treasures in Scott Regan, who is tirelessly supporting musicians on the radio at NPR. Encourage anybody who's not listening to his program to tune in the morning, 88.5, and listen to Scott.
Scott's got the best radio show for music in town there's not even anything close to it. And yeah, he's very supportive of local music. He's played a lot of my stuff, which I'm always really thankful for. And he's also just a tremendous person. I've had the opportunity on a number of occasions to play with him. He's a great singer-songwriter. He's been in a lot of the sessions that I've done. He and Chris Wilson and Warren Paul and I have done probably 40 or 50 gigs together in the last, I don't know, 10, 12 years, something like that. So it's really been, it's been great knowing that guy. He's a wonderful guy.
Well, that kind of leads to the next part of the interview then. So we talked about the venues in town and around town. And, you know, as you mentioned, the distillery, I'm thinking down in Naples, there's Inspiremore and Hollerhorn now, bringing a lot of music down there. Fantastic venues, actually. And also, we have Brian Burley has Plowshares just outside of Canandaigua. Great venue, awesome venue, very community-oriented, has a very, very giving, warm spirit, brings a lot of good music there. One to check out. That's definitely one to check out.
Well, the other one that is very similar to that is Chris Wilson Arm.
Oh, yes.
In Brockport.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, right now, Chris is pretty much the only person playing there, because he's using that as a real platform for what he wants to do. But yeah, you know, there's. I've always felt that if you're going to go out there and do what you want to do with music, if you don't want to fall into, you know, playing, you know, whatever the radio list is, you know, to make people dance, then you have to invent your own gigs. And Brian and Chris are two guys who not only invented their own gigs, they invented their own venues. So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've never played at Plowshares. I'd really love to do that sometime. But I have played over at the barn a few times, and it's just a great environment.
It's very intimate, and he's really put a lot of thought and care into the quality of the sound in that room. It's just amazing. It's so intimate and so good. And of course, he does stream live twice a week, which that's very worthwhile checking out for people that are looking for music. And so now, we're talking about these venues, and of course, one of the more recent venues, and the venue that you were associated with for this project we're going to talk about, the Fort Hill Performing Arts Center in Canandaigua. That has a little history that I'm going to let you reveal, because it was it's a pretty curious story. It's good.
The theater itself was built in 1928, and it's on the registry of national theater places that, I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's on a national registry. And so because it's on a national registry, it can't be torn down. It can't be turned into a drugstore. It either has to be closed down and boarded up, or it has to be a theater. And back in '93, I believe it was, it was actually part of the annex for Canandaigua Academy. And Canandaigua Academy was sold to Conifer, and Conifer turned it into a senior living complex instead of a school. And that left the theater just sitting there by itself, and so they boarded it up. And it stayed boarded up for quite a long time. About 6 years ago, Marvin Sands from Constellation Brands walked in and said, "Why is this theater boarded up? This is a beautiful theater." And my understanding is he put $1 million into it himself and raised another $5 million to refurbish it. So they spent 3 years rebuilding it, refurbishing it, turning it into a really stunning theater. They opened up, and 2 weeks later, COVID closed them down for 1.5 years. So it was just a terrible situation to have happened. But before they closed it down in that 2-week window of time, I talked to them about doing the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young tribute night there, and they said, great. And they grandfathered me in the rate that I was able to pay for it, which was really nice. And we had scheduled for June 5th of 2020, and then obviously we couldn't do that, and so we rescheduled it for another date in the fall. Then it got moved again to June 5th of 21, and that had to get moved again to November 5th.
That's amazing.
That's what we did.
The other side of that is the anxiety and stress of trying to organize a production, and when the viewers do see this concert, you're going to get a real sense of what went into that production. Really quite an undertaking. Yeah. Very good one. And so that being said too, I'm looking at like, so yeah, that was, you said basically it was in process for 2 years or more?
Close to 2 years, yeah.
Wow. And yeah, well, hats off to you. One thing I wanted to mention too was when you were talking about the history of the Fort Hill Performing Arts Center, it brought to mind how important it is that we have business partners in Rochester that care enough about the arts that they would actually take part in restoring a theater like that. Well, it is a beautiful theater.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so that's kind of the other unseen part of this is, without support from somewhere, the arts die.
Oh, and Fort Hill is a nonprofit, so they do have that ability to go out into the community and let them realize that what they're doing is very important. And fortunately, there's a lot of businesses in the Canandaigua area that totally agree with that concept. That this is really important. And in Canandaigua, there's not a lot of other theatrical venues at all. You can go out to Geneva to the Smith Opera House. You can go as far away as Ithaca for the State Theater. There's Bristol Valley Playhouse, but nothing is in the same size category and with the same concept that Fort Hill has.
Well, you started putting together a really nice list of performances that were going to take place there, and COVID struck again.
Yeah, I had an Elton John tribute night going in there that COVID, actually the guy who plays Elton John got ill with COVID, so that got postponed, not canceled. It's going to be in October. But I've got Seven Wonders, which is Tegan Ward's Fleetwood Mac tribute show going in. I've got one coming out of Buffalo that is a Styx tribute act. I've got an Allman Brothers tribute act coming in. So there's a lot of things that I've tried to put together for Fort Hill.
Which brings to mind, not only are you a musician who has a band called Liar's Moon,
Yeah.
which there's been different iterations of that band, but now, and you've produced a lot of music with all of them. So we had some conversations about that, and you've mentioned a couple of times how, for some reason, this particular configuration has been really special for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my two favorite bands that I've ever played in. The other one being the one that was on the road, because that was a family kind of thing. This band actually became that too, so I'm really happy with it. The people that are in the band have become great friends, people that I feel I can talk to at any moment that I want to, and we seem to make really nice music together.
Yep.
So I'm just thrilled with the way that that's going.
And so that kind of also brings to mind, when this concert airs again, February 24th at 7 p.m., you're going to see the first set is Liar's Moon.
Yeah.
And that's all original music, is it not?
That we did for that show?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the songwriting element, you're deep into the songwriting side of things.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned you're producing another CD.
Yeah, we're almost done with it. As I've been solely involved in writing songs and doing original music with the stuff that I've been doing for at least 20 years now. And I've got 4 albums that have come out, and this is really interesting, because at the end of my last record, it was called Chasing Ghosts, I sat down by myself and I thought about it. I said, you know what, I've said everything I want to say. I'm pretty much done. I don't know if I'll ever be able to come up with enough material to do another CD. And it was at that time that I got a call from somebody I hadn't seen in 30 years, that he and I had written a song together a long time ago. And he said he had heard the song and he couldn't get it out of his mind. Would you like to write some songs together? So he and I have been writing songs now for about 3 years. And probably everything that'll be on this new CD is one that he and I wrote together. So it's actually a three-pronged thing now. It's he is writing with me, I'm bringing the songs to Liar's Moon, and then Liar's Moon is sitting down in rehearsals and arranging them for the band. And it's just been a phenomenal way to put it together. The music's the best music I've ever done.
Awesome. I have to agree. When I saw the performance at Fort Hill, it revealed all of that. and it's difficult to find collaboration with other artists that works. It really is. Hard to come by.
Yeah, it really is. This one just happened to work out very well. It made me wish that I had, 30 years ago, I would have said, hey, let's make this work all the time, instead of that one song that we did.
Well, I was thinking, as you were prefacing that with, well, I think I had said everything I wanted to say. I was thinking, just when I get out, they pull me back in again.
Well, I probably wouldn't have gotten out. I just would have gone around there and been very happy playing the songs that I had on the first 4 CDs. But, really in the gigs that we're doing now, 90% of the night is off in the new CD. So it's pretty interesting that with all this backlog of material that I have, I'm bringing maybe 3 or 4 songs in from that I'm doing in the course of a night anymore.
Well, I was fortunate enough to hear a little bit of the new music, and I can say I am very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a
very
nice
much.
CD. I'm excited about it.
And we were talking about, why CSNY, right? Why did Jerry Falzone pick CSNY?
Well, first of all, I've always loved that band, so that's one thing. I do feel that that's a real big influence in the way that I write. But I've been a part of the Neil Young birthday bash that Josh Pincus puts on for. I was doing it for the last 5 that they did, up until this recent one. I didn't do the recent one, but the 5 before that, I was in it. And at the end of the last one that we did, Josh had come up to me and he said, "Yeah, you're so into Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Why don't you do a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young tribute night?" And I just thought, "There's no way. Too much work." But I was driving home and I'm going, "Oh, it's a lot of work, but I'm not afraid of work, so yeah, maybe I'll." And after about maybe 2 months of thinking about really letting it germinate, I called up a couple of people that I would really want to have in it, and they were all like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so Chris Wilson was one of them, and he was the one who told me about Fort Hill. So I went over to Fort Hill and I talked to them. They gave me a rental rate for the theater, and I put down a deposit without even having an idea of what I was going to do. And at that moment, I thought I had 6 months to put it together, which, by the way, is not enough. So I started making a whole lot of phone calls to people, first of all, that I knew. I knew I was going to use Liar's Moon because I love the band, and it just wouldn't make any sense not to use them. But I knew that if you're going to really do a Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young thing, you need to really add pieces to that, to the backline band. So I talked to Woody Woodruff, Sam Grettadaria, and Josh. And so Josh is a guitar player, Woody plays percussion, Sam's another keyboard player. So we put that element together. And then I had to go find the singers. That's where it really gets difficult. And we lost a lot of them, from the first one we were going to do. Bill Welch wasn't able to do it. Jim Drew got very ill. He wasn't able to do it. So we had a lot of work to do to be able to put the singers together. But I found, a guy that I had worked with a long time ago, who now lives in Ithaca and Florida. He actually interrupted his time in Florida to do our thing. Pete Wiggins came up and did it with us. Debbie Randon came in and sang with us, and Brian Ayers. And Brian is a real popular guy in the Canandaigua area, so I think he had a lot to do with us selling out too. So I think he did. But it was a lot of work to put that together. And Miles McHugh, he was the other one.
I wanted to mention.
Miles was phenomenal.
Amazing. He was. He really captured me. What's he doing? What's the story behind it?
He's in a band with Woody. They just put a CD out there. It's called Moving Mountains.
Okay.
And I think, no, I don't know what the name of his record is. I'd have to look that up. But it's really good, and they are an amazing band.
Well, he's got a really good voice, and he's a great good guitar player. Yeah, definitely. Well, you got some real, of course, you're not new to that. I mean, sensing talent, but knowing talent, and how to put those elements together. That's no small thing. That's why there are albums that are good, and there are albums that aren't so good. But what I think was most challenging about you choosing CSNY is the fact that whenever you're trying to do music that everybody already has in their brain, it's so easy for the
soundtrack of a generation.
It's so hard because they could be put off so quickly about it. It's like, but when I witnessed the concert and I saw the reaction from the sold out theater, everybody just loved it. They were just so into it, and for good reason. It really was. It was a beautiful performance. I'm so glad that it was captured on video so that people can see it.
Me too.
And that brings to a point to make about what Now in Session Live is about. That's one of the things why I've developed that platform, is I want to be able to catalog as much as possible our local musicians, because a lot of this stuff can get lost. As easy it is for people to hold an iPhone up at a venue and capture 2 or 3 seconds or 3 minutes of somebody's performance, there's another aspect to being able to catalog a full concert. And that's something that hopefully will mean something to not just generation now, but generations to come.
As being a member of the board of directors for the Rochester Music Hall of Fame, the things that I wish were there that aren't there is not in the Hall of Fame. I'm very happy with who's in there, and I'm happy with who's going to come in and all that. But when I was growing up, Lou Gramm was in a band called Poor Heart before Black Sheep. They were a Three Dog Night knockoff band. They had 3 singers up front,
And Lou was one of those singers. So you can just imagine how phenomenal that band was. And, I've never been able to see any video of that band, and I used to see them a lot. There's another band called Orange. There was a band called the Brass Buttons that were an incredible... They were on the Ed Sullivan Show. But yet, is there any video of them around anywhere? No, not that I've ever seen. The Showstopper, the Rustics. There's just so many different bands from that era when I was growing up that I just wish that material was out there that you could see. And so what we have now and what you're trying to do is something that's really, it's really going to be important for people who are younger now, that when they're, been around for a long time and they want to look back on what that history was. When I was in Pearl, we were on TV once, so we had 3 songs from that TV show. And every time I see it, it's like, that's 3 songs out of 8 years of traveling all over the country that we have. It's really too bad that we didn't have more. And, it's just the way that it goes. But yeah, what you're trying to do is a really important thing. And the importance of it is going to be realized for a long time. That's what's so cool about it.
Well, thank you. And before we go here, I want to thank you for taking time to come and do this interview here with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Real pleasure to be with you. I have a lot of respect for what you do and how you're doing it. And I think as Rochester gets to know you better, for those that don't know you, they're going to realize how important you are to our cultural scene here.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
I know that, just quickly too, you're hoping to do the CSNY tribute concert again.
Oh, absolutely. We're doing it again. No question about it. It's getting done again.
Well, then we're going to have to make sure everybody spread the word. When we know the when and the wheres and all of that, we'll definitely be posting all of that.
Yeah, we have a few details to work out on that level, but yes, we're definitely doing it again. So yeah, we'll let you know.
Well, I'm looking forward to your CD, staying in the pipeline with you and all that will mean down the road. But thanks again.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jerry Falzone. I'm looking forward to streaming the concert to you on February 24th at 7 p.m. CSNY, Deja Vu All Over Again, a tribute concert, was recorded at the Fort Hill Performing Arts Center on November 5th, 2021. It's a little over 2 hours of entertainment, and I hope you'll be able to join me then. You can go to Facebook, you'll be able to comment, participate as the concert is going along, which could be a lot of fun. And you can also cast it to your television. It's a YouTube video, so however you can most easily do that, that's probably a better way to view it than on your computer, if possible. A better sound system is also an advantage. If you can and you would like to, please consider making a donation to my platform, Now in Session Live. You can do that by going to nowinsession.live@gmail.com via PayPal, and I hope you will consider doing that. I don't charge the musicians for the work I do. It does require a lot of time, and the equipment is expensive, and I would like to continue to do it. If you go to my YouTube page at Now in Session Live, there are several concerts which I've already produced there, and you can watch those as well. Thanks again, and see you next time.